Hi, welcome to Helpful Hints. Today I'll be interviewing Julie and we'll be talking about how to ace a job interview with some great tips from an industry pro. So, in your experience, what are the key questions that you'll be asked in an interview?
There's two key questions, which will be what do you know about the job that you've applied for, and also what do you know about the company that you're coming to the interview for. And it's really important that you've done your research on this. It never hurts to ring up the HR manager before you turn up for a job interview, just to ask a few questions. Really look through their company website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter accounts, anything like that, and glean as much information as you can about the organisation, because that demonstrates that you're keen and that you're really committed to the interview itself, and with a view to being committed to the company for the job.
Yeah, perfect. So, in your experience, what are the sort of things that we should practice for? And does practicing actually help?
Practicing, I think, is critical, and I think that it's important to say things out loud. They'll ask you, things like your strengths, your weaknesses. Probably they're quite cliche, but they're good questions, and it's important to know what you're going to say and to rehearse saying it to make sure it sounds right. It's very important also to perhaps get somebody else to ask you some questions, because they might throw you questions that you weren't expecting, and it's good to be put on the spot to rehearse. I think the other really important thing to do is to, when you're doing your research on the company and on the job, to write down as many questions as you can. And I'm in that research also look up everyone's LinkedIn profiles, that sort of thing, so you know about the people within the organisation. Have lots of questions, and then during the course of the interview, when they will say to you, do you have any questions? Go back, just say, if you don't mind, I'd just like to check my notes. Go back and look through your notes. Make sure any of the questions you have been answered. They will really appreciate that you've taken the time to write down some questions and to want to know more about the organisation. So make sure you do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you were saying before, it's important to know about the business. How much of the interview would you say would be about knowing the business, and what do you think is important to know about them?
It's actually not the most critical thing. It's a good indicator of the type of employee you would be. A lot of times, especially in media and communications, you can apply those skills very broadly across all different industries and organisations. So you have to demonstrate your particular skill set and an interest in what that company is doing, but you don't, with media and communications, you can be applying, communication skills from, anything from working in a hospital to a law firm to a bank to a civil construction business. So mainly you have to be able to talk about your skill set and how you would apply it to that company.
Yeah, perfect. Now for physical sort of things, what sort of body language do you think we should present to impress an interviewer?
It's very important to smile. Make an effort to smile a lot. Make eye contact with people all the time. And the other thing is, everyone expects you to be nervous in an interview. You will be, especially if it really matters to you. So it is important though to try to control those nerves, because if you are so nervous that you sweat profusely or you shake a lot, the interviewer starts feeling uncomfortable for you. And then it'll, especially if you're coming into a media and communications type role, you want people to be confident in that position. So it is worthwhile trying to control those nerves, and I think the way to do that, as we've spoken about before, is practice saying things out loud. Get someone to rehearse with you, and I think just a very open sort of body language, obviously, and most importantly, that friendliness and that professionalism starts the minute you walk in the door to the receptionist at the front desk, any single person that you pass walking through the hall, the cleaner as you go into the bathroom. You must, because oftentimes if you don't speak well to somebody or aren't polite, that will get back to those people and you just don't stand a chance.
Yeah, fair enough. And finally, how important is appearance in an interview? And do you have any sort of style tips just for interviews?
It's really, if it's possible, it's a good idea to get a gauge of what people wear day to day in that particular office and that work environment. and try to at least match that, and often go higher than that. So, you know, in a bank, in a major corporate, you know, if people are wearing suits, you should definitely turn up in a suit. And I think it's always better to be slightly overdressed, and you will also feel more confident if you do. It also shows that you care for your appearance and that you will represent the company in a good way. So very important to dress appropriately. I mean, obviously, if you're going out to work on a construction site, you're not going to turn up in stilettos. That would also look like you don't know what the company is doing.
Yeah.
So smart boots, for example.
Okay, great. Do you have any final things to say? Any sort of tips for the end?
I think the main thing is to always go in prepared. It has disappointed me enormously when you shortlist people, if you've been shortlisted and you're invited in for an interview, and if that person then shows up and has done no research on the company, does not walk in with a pen and paper to take notes, I've almost dismissed them immediately, because it means they haven't made an effort, they don't really care to be there. Pen and paper, writing notes while they're talking to you is really important. It sends a good signal.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Julie, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.